morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Hey.
This thing on.
1 2 1 2.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Happy 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Happy birthday, man. Thanks, Pops.
All right. Check 1 2 1 2. Testing.
Check. 1 2.
Give me that 1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2.
Yo.
Let's give it a pat.
All right. All systems go. Radio check. No echo. We good.
Hello.
Good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, ghost listeners, radio listeners. It is Friday, August the 11th.
Man.
2023. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you got it right. It's hip hop's birthday, man.
Oh, today
it's a celebration.
Today is the day. Hip hop's birthday. That's what's up. Okay. The birth. Yeah. This is the day that Kool Herc threw the party.
Yes. For those who don't know, this very day, 50 years ago, 50 years ago, the infamous DJ Kool Herc threw after school jam. Back to school jam, as the kiddies are, it is the season. You seeing all the back to school photos on social media.
That's right.
50 years ago, they threw a jam. It wasn't no social media.
They did a jam. They put a jam out. 50 cents for the fellas, 25 cents for the ladies.
Man,
it was going down. Pops in the chat says, "Good morning, all. It's Friday, the penultimate day of the week." It don't feel like that to me right now, Pops. It feels like a Monday to me right now. For some
really?
Reason. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's been a long week, I guess. So my Friday's not feeling like, hey, it's Friday. I'm so happy.
You're feeling like the weight of the week on you.
I think so. He said we sound good. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Getting back to our good sound and sales. Mama God in the house says, "Good morning, First Sky fam."
Hey.
Good morning to you as well.
Mama God.
Pops, I was reminiscing on the 50 years on the this anniversary of hip hop that's happening right now, and just how the how it affected me in my own personal life growing up, and where I got introduced to things. I remember being on West 11th Street. Pop said it still feels like 1987 to me. I heard that.
Okay.
I remember being on West 11th Street when Rappers Delight came out. And I don't know, Pops, if you remember this, but there was some family staying with us for a little while with a boy kind of my age named Ty. And me and him used to go outside with a little radio and learn all the lyrics. And I learned all the lyrics pretty early to Rappers Delight. And then when we moved over to Plumtree Apartments, I used to go hop the wall and go to Carl and Ray's house. Remember Carl and Ray Roeder? And we used to break dance. That's the crew. We built the breakdance crew out of their garage.
Hey.
Yeah, man. So they had a little radio in there, and we used to listen to all the jams and stuff. So it's just a trip to think back, like when you think about it, hip hop is kind of with you all the time.
Oh yeah.
You hardly remember a time when you didn't have it around, but I remember a time when I first heard it. This is a trip. So let us know, man. It's 50th year of hip hop. What's your introduction to hip hop story? I'd like to hear that, especially out here in Omaha, because Omaha gets things a little bit later than the coasts do.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But so what? And then also, I think you guys got down south music, hip hop faster than we got it. I
I can
think
see that.
I think Omaha heard it before we did. So what's your introduction to hip hop story on this birthday of hip hop 50 years ago today? Cool Herc did a party in the park,
Man.
and they call it hip hop. They call it the birth of hip hop that day. So which is today.
Yeah.
So that's what's up.
Yeah, man. I really don't have a distinct like. It's always like you said. It's just kind of always been around. Especially me born in '93. Like it's been around, man. I do have like early memories of Rappers Delight and hearing my dad and uncles rap it and just kind of like, oh man, what's this? What's this? And hearing that
Yeah.
mixed in with like the Gap Band and stuff, and that's kind of
Right.
the backdrop. But yeah, it's kind of always been around, man.
That's a trip, man. Yeah, so it's right. You 20 years in. So hip hop was 20 years old by the time you was born.
Yeah.
But what about like what was the moment though that you were? I mean, not. I don't know if there is a moment, but what was that time frame like with you when you were like, "This is what I like. This is what I'm about. I am hip
Um,
hop."
Man, it's kind of all meshed together, but I would say like hearing Lupe Fiasco for the first time. This is
Wow.
like seventh grade, sixth,
Kick
seventh
push.
grade. Hearing Lupe Fiasco, and like, of course, I've always listened to it. Like, I remember vividly the '99, the 2000s, the whole man, the whole No Limit run, the whole like while it was happening, you know what I mean? Lil Wayne coming out with 400 Degrees, like just coming out. My
Mhm.
brother, again, shout out to Big Dame, 10 years older than me, so I would just kind of sit next to him and listen to a lot of the music that he was listening to and kind of catch what he was really into. But to answer your question, my like when I started identifying and listening, finding music that's like, man, that's me. That's me. It was definitely Lupe Fiasco.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's what's up, man. I love hearing them things. Definitely for me was Rapper's Delight before I knew it. But I think by the time I was like trying to identify with something, figuring out which thing I identified with, it's probably about 1984. Run DMC Raising Hell came out, and I was on that tape in a big
Mm.
way. So that was my first record was Fat Boys' first album. So that was around. I was already with it though because like I said, I had already been breaking, and we used to sneak. We also used to sneak off and do a little spray painting in here and there too. So there was
Mm.
a lot of early hip hop, early elements stuff going on back in the day. So
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
also thinking about it more so because now that I think about it, actually, I was rapping before the 6 and 7. Like I was rapping, I want to say 2001,
okay.
2002 when I started rapping.
That's what's up. Let's move on to the chat and see what they talking about. Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning. Rose review says hit
Yeah.
the like button. Rose review says Mantronics.
Okay.
Okay, that was your first. He said also King T act a fool. Skinny Boys Rose review says okay. You going way back. Pop says how cool is that? Jazz R&B and funk don't have a known birthday. Okay, I didn't think about
Hmm.
that. I
Hmm.
know I know blues probably. No, well, I mean, they probably well, no, they can't. They can't. I guess you couldn't call the birth of any of these genres. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to be technical, I mean, rapping has always been around too. Like, those all of those elements that collectively make hip hop have always been around. But yeah,
Yeah,
as a genre.
I think that's what it is. So hip hop was birthed today as they're saying the genre of hip hop, which is the four elements. The four elements of have they came together:
This is the birth of the
breakdancing,
culture.
rapping, DJing, and graffiti. And that's when it all came together. According to,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's people that debate this and say that today is not the birth of hip hop. It started way back when graffiti started. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of debate on it, but for the most part everybody has kind of just decided that this is the birthday of hip hop. Wanda Lewis said Curtis Blow was my introduction to hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah, Curtis Blow was huge, man. He was real huge. Brother Mayor Sanchez says world class wrecking crew. Turn off the lights.
Man. Okay.
You went way back. Amy H. Dot says good morning. Wanda Lewis says I liked all of it. Brianna Full says good morning from Amsterdam. Yeah,
Hey.
you guys
Okay.
are out there
Okay.
kicking it. Appreciate you getting up.
Man, what
And
time is it over there?
yeah, that's what's up. Appreciate you getting up and joining us this morning. Let us know how Amsterdam is going for y'all. This is also what we forgot to mention. This being Black August, and
Mm.
especially for Sky Omaha, I think it's an important month to celebrate for us. Black August came about to celebrate the Black movement, the Black liberation movement. As a matter of fact, Huey P. Newton, everybody in Black Panthers. As there was a person who got killed in jail. His brother went to try to break him out. He got killed. I had all the details sitting here until I started up the machine. So I got to come back and come back and find them for you. But yeah, look into Black August. As a matter of fact, I put a
Here,
video
I'm
up on.
pulling it up now
Matter of
because
fact, I put a video up on Friends of First Sky Omaha for you to check out and see what's going on there. But yeah, it's an important one to celebrate. Important one to celebrate.
man, it's
So
funny you tied that in because I was thinking about that as far as like again I talk about I'm a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and just think what is my culture, what is my who am I, you know what I mean? And hip hop is definitely a big part of that. One of the tenets of hip hop is knowledge. So uh it's graffiti writing, dancing, breaking. Knowledge is a part of that. That's why you got, you got to give kudos to Africa Bambaataa
mhm.
and him actually going to Africa before this jam and coming back with a little bit of that national mind state, that black liberation, energy and weaving that into hip hop. Like you can't separate the two really.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to. If you do, then you're taking away from what this thing really is as a culture. So I did not know about that, but yeah, definitely go check out that video again. Black August. Um, so what he
yeah,
said,
yeah, man. Yeah, we'll be bringing out some facts on Black August the whole rest of this month as well because
man.
there's a lot more. I knew a little bit about it in the beginning, and over the years we've been digging into it, but it's getting real right now. There's something going on right now. There's something happening right now. Uh,
Mm,
that is making it so people are really waking up to some things and spreading some knowledge and some solidarity is going on in Black community more than I've seen in a while.
that's what hip hop is
Uh,
about.
and hip hop, that's what hip hop is about exactly. So I appreciate that tie in back to the hip hop. Pop says Master P, Mia X, Dirty South, but the very first for me was Rapper's Delight. I remember hearing it at work and thinking, oh, this is too cool.
Mm,
First time I heard Rapper's Delight, I already knew that I thought that I was like, oh, this is good times by Chic. Like I already knew the
mm.
funk version, and they used that version and then rapped over it, and I thought that was dope. And I just remember getting it. I remember listening to it like twice and having the whole rap memorized already. it was that powerful for us. Rose Reed says Houdini. They're one of my favorite groups too, man. Houdini was one of the first hip hop groups that went overseas and did actual pop music production. They used all the latest synthesizers and everything that Stevie Wonder was using and everybody was
Mm.
using at the time, and their tracks were light years above everybody else's as far as production was concerned. Houdini's first album with Friends and all that on it. I mean, you can listen to it
Man,
now. You can hear the production value on it now. It's crazy.
cold blooded.
Marlon Harrison said my first rapper I ever listened to was Lil Bow Wow. Okay,
Okay, okay,
I remember Lil Bow Wow dropped. That was super dope, man. He had
man.
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg had his back on that, co-signed on that, blessed the tracks.
It was a
Dope.
moment. It was a moment.
Brianna Full said this afternoon here is going to be amazing. Lots of ideas and stories to bring back. Can't wait to
Please
hear it.
do.
Can't wait to hear it, man. Whole Fabric Lab crew over there chilling. Marlon Harrison said the Midwest does not get the respect it deserves in hip hop. Okay,
Definitely,
okay.
definitely.
You guys got to hit me to that. You guys got to hit me to
I
the
mean, come on,
Midwest
man. What do you
Midwest car.
consider the Midwest? Like, what?
Say again.
What do you consider the Midwest?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Do
I
you
mean,
not include Detroit, Chicago?
I guess Detroit is Midwest. I didn't think about that. I know I did think of Chicago as Midwest. Yeah, for sure. I just don't know much about it, man. Don't know. I didn't know much about.
I mean, Tech Nine, he's been a staple in the game for a long time.
Yeah, I know Tech Nine. I know Ti is considered a
Ti,
Midwest. Yeah, Ti is supposed to be a Midwest dude, ain't he?
you talking about Tip Harris,
Yeah.
bro? No,
What? Where's
he's
he
from
from?
Atlanta. He's from Atlanta.
Why were they calling him I remember them calling him a Midwest rapper, man. I don't know.
Really? No, he's from
Yeah.
Atlanta. He's from Atlanta.
Okay. Well, speaking of Atlanta, that's where Buddy's at. Speaking of Omaha, that's where I'm at. You guys are online. You guys are the chat chimers. We appreciate you joining us today
Yeah.
on this fried yippee yay. Hey, where's my fried yippee yay lady? What's going on here? Come
Yeah.
on, lady. I was ready for you today too. I was exercising. I was ready for the tongue twister. But we're gonna go ahead and get this show on the road, man. Thanks for joining us again. This is First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
On this birthday of hip hop, 50 years ago
Hey.
today. It's going down. We'll start the show. What up, what up, what up? Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
A little delay going on there. Chat chimers, ghost listeners, radio listeners, what's happening? 630 crew, let us know how the radio channel treated you this morning. As you well know, if you go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the listen button, then you can absolutely check out a celebration of black music over there 24/7. And of course, when we're on, then of course you'll be able to listen to it over there. And if you have a Amazon Alexa, you can have Alexa say play First Sky Omaha Radio, and then you can join us over there as well. This is the anniversary of hip hop. This is the day that they're saying hip hop was birthed. That party that Kool Herc threw in the park on this day 50 years ago. People say that this is the birth of hip hop. That was the birth of hip hop, and here we are 50 years later, and it's still rolling. Although some would say it's changed so much that it might not be hip hop anymore. A lot of people are saying that, but I think it's really interesting. Just thinking about it over the years, it's kind of that day to reminisce about. The first time that you got introduced to hip hop, the first time that you realized that it was a movement. What was the first rapper that you heard? What was the first element that you engaged in? I got any break dancers in the chat? Let me know what's going on with you as you reminisce about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've throughout life had practiced just about every element. Man, Mayor Sanchez bringing back memories. Beat Street breaking 1 and 2.
Come on, man. B Street breaking. I mean, those were staples back in the day, man. I look at them now, I'm just like, it was breaking, especially breaking. Breaking was kind of weird. I don't know who exactly directed that one, and who choreographed that one off, but it was still, there was a lot in there because my man Turbo was the one that held it down on the streets in a real way. So let us know, man. I'd like to know, Brianna Full, if you're over there, have you guys hit any hip hop clubs? Is the hip hop permeating over there in Amsterdam right now too? So, the world is celebrating this 50th anniversary. So let us know. I can't wait to hear the stories when you get back. If you guys have hit any clubs, heard any music over there, that'd be real dope. Miss Erica Fell says it was our school dance at Tubman Middle School that DJ is older and on my Facebook now. Who are you talking about? Did I miss something earlier? Let me see. Okay, no, you just giving us a story about you talking about at the school dance. Okay, Tubman Middle School. All right. So that was your the birth of hip hop. Oh, Christy Nor gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Runs for you, UTFO, man. You bringing back all the old stuff. He says, she says, Houdini was the soundtrack for the summer of '84. I'm trying to tell you, man, Houdini hit so hard it was crazy.
Okay.
You got to go back and listen to that first album with Friends on it. And Freaks Come Out at Night and all that. That was this classic.
So, okay, Houdini came out in '84. That's when that album.
I think it was '84 the album dropped. Yep.
Okay, because I'm really like going through the memory. Like, when was hip hop? Like, when was my earliest memories? But everything y'all saying, like all that stuff was probably like 5, 6, 7 years old. So it was still in heavy rotation. Exactly. When I was born. So a lot of this stuff, like, it was getting played like it was new. I still remember Houdini, and I still remember all that stuff in heavy rotation.
I mean, especially with a brother 10 years older, you for sure had all the stuff by that time.
Man,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sugar
man.
Hill Gang. Chrissy North said Sugar Hill Gang. Man, I remember when a Wedding Singer came out and they had that really old lady doing the rap, and I was just like, when you go back to when it was popular and just like amazing, and this the most amazing thing you ever heard, and then you jump 20 years later and it's a skit on a comedy movie, then it's a trip. It's
Man.
kind of it's I get two feelings about it. Like I got one of pride about it, and I also got one of, oh, okay, I guess it's dead.
Mm. It done crossed over.
But of course, when that part crossed over, we were already into several different new genres of hip hop by that time, because
Mhm.
that's what black folks do. Tech Nine, not Ti. Okay, all right. I thought Ti was a Midwest cat. I guess not. Uh, that one, Miss Erica Phelps says my mother took me to Beat Street.
Man.
Yes, Beat Street was the classic film for real.
Yeah.
Um, let's see who else. She says that the projects I stayed in had two different dogs named Turbo and after breaking. Yeah, yeah, bro. Turbo was the dude. She says I didn't comment earlier. My first experience with hip hop was the sixth grade dance and DJ playing Grandmaster Flash. The birthday
Mm.
we had whistles and it was blowing. That's what's up. Yeah, yeah. I remember those days. Black Dynamite says good morning, y'all. Good morning to you,
Hey.
Black Dynamite. Black Dynamite, you're a musician. We're talking about this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Let us know your first hip hop experience. When did you first hear something, or when did you first say, "Oh, this is me"? Or tell us about your earliest hip hop experience. Love to hear about it. New name here, Ray Myrant says NWA was the most that hit my heart,
Okay.
bro. When NWA dropped, and NWA dropped in a way that I can't explain it how it dropped, because it didn't drop. NWA was like the kid behind you had a Walkman and was blasting the tape, and then they let you borrow the tape for the day, and then you took the tape home and copied it, and you came back and gave it. It was like that. It was like word.
It was underground.
It was super underground, because they didn't even have, there was like, unless you were in the heart of where they were selling records, it was almost like you couldn't even find the records nowhere, because it was just like, it was a genre. It was something that was going on. When they hit first, you could find all the very first records. Then all of a
Mhm.
sudden they realized what they were selling, and then all of a sudden it got to be like, oh, we can't sell this. So it got super underground after that. But it was undeniable though. So I mean, those of you don't know who NWA is, I mean, it birthed Dr. Dre, Ice Cube.
Man. Man.
So yeah, man. But Wanda Lewis says I was definitely fascinated with all the love songs growing up. Couldn't wait to fall in love. Found out later in life that I should have been listening to blues songs too. The other side of love.
Oh man, good one. Good one.
I like
True that. True that.
that. I like that. Black Dynamite says the first times I remember getting hip hop was Interstate 680.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Skating rink is where a lot of rap broke for us too, for sure.
Getting down.
Yeah. If you had a relationship with the skate DJ, then you was just the man. You was like, yeah, play the Houdini, bro. Play that. Play that. I'll play that. I Need Love. Play it LL
Man.
on the couple skate at the end, and dedicated to so and so, Brenda. Miss Erica Phelps says when NWA came out, I was 18. My friend and I airbrushed clothing. He went on tour on the West Coast with them, selling his shirts. Yeah,
Dope.
that's a part of the
Dope.
culture too, big time.
Man.
Graffiti
Man.
artists started airbrushing. It's been an element for a while. Speaking of elements, um, we always talk about the four elements, which was the birth of hip hop. Four elements, which was again rapping, DJing, breakdancing, and graffiti writing. But the scholar KRS-One
Knowledge, man.
later on expanded the elements. And do you remember some of the ones he expanded, buddy? Do you remember where it went after that? Because I remember entrepreneurship being an element.
Yeah, definitely
Fashion.
knowledge, fashion, entrepreneurship. These again, just like bringing it up what Miss Erica Feld was saying, as far as the clothing, you know, Dapper Dan. I mean, you can't tell me Dapper Dan is not hip hop.
Come
Like
on,
the
bro.
big chains, all the fashion, that's definitely an element of hip hop. The knowledge is definitely an element of hip hop. Being aware of what's going on, giving back to your community. That's definitely aware, a part of hip hop. Um, and yes, entrepreneurship.
All right.
Entrepreneurship has been expanded. And it was KRS-One that I got the acronym for hip hop from, as far as higher infinite power, helping or healing our people. Again, hip hop is a progressive movement, for the uplifting of humanity. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely bigger than just rhymes and words.
And that's the difference between any other genre of music, and the reason why hip hop is the biggest genre in the world right now, because it involved elements. The elements made it bigger than life.
It's a culture.
It moved into lifestyle. So the way that you did things in your life was directly came from hip hop. That's why a lot of people feel like hip hop is a religion. It's their religion, because it's not just music. Everybody just thinks we just talking about the music. No, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle, and it's a culture and lifestyle that bonds everybody around the world, which is why
Man,
it's the biggest genre in history. And you can't even really call it a genre. It's not like rock and roll. It's not like blues. It's not like, I guess that, Dr. Cornel West said he calls himself a blues man. He said he lives the blues lifestyle. He wears a black suit every day because he's like ready for war. And if he's gonna get buried, he's gonna get buried in his black suit. He's a blues man, and I've read
mhm,
several books of his that talks about what a blues man is.
yeah,
And then of course you got cats like George Clinton and Boosie and them that live the funk lifestyle every day. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? But it's still a little. The hip hop is still different, man. Hip hop is education. Hip hop is business.
Man,
Hip hop is art,
philosophy.
philosophy. So
Well,
yeah.
would you say Miles is a jazz man?
I would say Miles. I would say Miles is a jazz man, but not. I don't know. I can't say that about him. Miles was a product of the '50s, '60s, and '70s.
Mm,
That would box him in too much to just call him a jazz man. You know what I'm
facts.
saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going off on this, and we appreciate that. We're talking about it because it is the 50th birthday of hip hop today. 50 years ago today, Cool Herc did a party in the park, and they call that the birth of hip hop. So we're asking you, the chat chimers, ghost listeners, anybody who's listening, what was your first experience with hip hop? Would love to hear about your experience. And he said first time, Black Dynamite said first time I was really into it was Southern Playalistic Cadillac music, bro.
Man,
When Outkast hit, it was a different thing for real.
man.
Rome's review. Let's see. That woman said hip hop wasn't just the soundtracks of my life. We went to an arcade that would film you breaking and popping. We used to sit up at lunch drawing potential burns, graffiti murals. That's what I'm saying. This is a lifestyle.
Yep.
Mama
Yep.
God, buddy, your pops and bro always listen to hip hop in the house your whole life.
So that's why, because I was getting the Houdini and the Rapper's Delight from Pops, and then I'm getting the Outcast, and I mean Pops had actually it. And I'll tell this story, and then we can get to the rest of the stories. But I have a vivid memory of looking at the AT Aliens cassette tape
Mm,
cover. Like Pops had a cassette tape of AT Aliens just in the house, and it was in the basement. And I remember looking at it because it was like a comic book. Like the
mhm,
if you remember the cover of AT Aliens is Big Boy and Dre, and they look like comic book characters. And I have a vivid memory of looking at that as a kid. And to live in Atlanta, be working at Stankonia Studios on a regular basis,
mhm.
just to have that full circle moment is definitely, again, hip hop is life, man. Hip hop is life, man.
Yeah.
So definitely happy birthday to hip hop.
I love that. A couple more, and then we'll jump into it. We do have a special guest coming on today. JaKeen Fox will be on to talk about some of the things that he's writing. So stay tuned for that. Mr. Rickenfeld says, "I was a hip hop kid carrying linoleum to the park and setting up by the bathroom because it had a plug in for your box. Large." She had to explain what the box is. Large portable stereo. She said, "I won a dance contest as a teenager.
Okay.
Me and my breaking crew used to walk around with a strip of linoleum too, bro. That's what you spun on if you was on the concrete. So
Mm,
we would do that. If you didn't have that, then you get you a refrigerator box, and you can spin easily on cardboard as well. So I remember that. I remember that all the time. I was the only cat in my crew that could spin on my head. So that would be the finale. Was the head spin.
man.
Gwen Easter gives us a good morning. Good morning. And Mr.
Hey.
Coast, I sold clothes and I made with neon lace. We did that on the West Coast. The East Coast started it, and we took it and made it ours. I heard that.
Okay.
Marlon Harrison says storytelling is a favorite part of hip hop, especially when rappers tell stories about our community. For real. Story raps is the best part of hip hop, as far as I'm concerned, in a big way. Story raps is I mean, you just can't. I mean,
The new griot.
yeah, the griot is the continuation of the griot. Juan Lewis says, I was so glad when disco era was over. It didn't do anything for me. But Black Dynamite said, buddy, that's super cold to be working at Stankonia. I'm telling you, man.
Man. Big shout out to Renegade, the whole crew, man.
Yeah.
Definitely big shout out to the fam.
And one more before we get out of here, man. Rose Reviews is reminding us Houston Alexander of Omaha Scribble Crew. Well, Houston Alexander holds down hip hop for Omaha, as far as I'm concerned.
OG.
He's the OG. He's the cat that I feel like is really put Omaha on the map when it comes to any kind of. He's been a hip hop head forever, and to this day goes into schools and teaches kids breakdancing to this day. So if you guys know who Houston Alexander is, he's a famous MMA fighter from Omaha, Nebraska. We don't really talk about him enough. He used to come on the show all the time back in the Mind and Soul days. We have to bring him back.
Yeah.
But that cat, he started with the Scribble Crew back in the day. He's lived the elements rapping. He's a DJ right now, and right now at his age, when I see him, I get inspired. When I see him out there breakdancing in front of them kids, I'm like, man, I
he's
gave
still
that up 20 years ago. I was like, I ain't gonna get down on this ground. I'll break my neck now. He's still in shape, still going for it, man. So shout out to him. He's a true B-boy for real.
He's still fighting too.
And still fighting too, right?
Yeah. He's actually a big shout out. He's making waves in the bare knuckle arena. He's in the bare knuckle boxing now, which is, man, it's brutal, but he's killing them. Not
that's crazy. But at heart, this man is a B-boy. This is how he got his start. He's more of a B-boy than cats that I know in New York and LA in a big way. He holds it down for real. Appreciate you guys indulging with us and going down the rabbit hole here about hip hop. 50 years. Happy birthday, hip hop is going down. What you seeing?
Just laughing at what I just said.
Oh,
he's not actually killing them. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
He's killing the game. He's killing the game. The game. It's the game.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us again. It is 7:32 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we do have some stories to get into, and like I said, we do have a special guest coming on. Brother JaKeen Fox will be on here shortly. Before we get to that, though, you want to run down a few things we're going to talk about today? A few things in the news, pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we're a couple musicians get our hip hop on as far as telling the people what's going on in the community, man. That's definitely, we look at it from a hip hop perspective, and we're gonna keep with that energy and talk about Black business. Definitely have to talk about that today. Again, one of the elements, entrepreneurship, and a big shout out to my man Xavier Jackson, who's making waves in entrepreneurship in the community. Actually, had a chance to walk in on one of his classes. He's teaching about giving pitches for, again, fundraising, which is a big side of business. So we'll talk about some of the work that he's doing with artists. Again, the local art, as he's calling his platform. If you haven't heard about that, about that, and the Midlands African Chamber of Commerce, which we definitely have to talk more about. But also we have some other things to dive into. OPS making a questionable decision recently, who's putting a couple families in a tough position, man. So we'll also talk about that. Education still a huge conversation, and nationally, of course. I don't know if any of you seen what's going on down in the latest installment in the madness down there. These videos from PragerU that apparently are being used by the Florida Department of Education that's painting slavery in a very washed light. We'll just say that. So we'll definitely be talking about that. Also diving into some other news from the city council. Appears they're making some decisions due to gun ordinances and looking at new regulations. So we'll definitely talk about what's going on with guns. Again, remember, laws were changed as far as the carrying of guns in the state. But if you pay attention, again, Omaha has a lot of longevity, what they do with their laws and ordinances in regards to the state. So we'll definitely look into the city council's latest decision. And then, of course, definitely have to talk about what's going on with Clarence Thomas, apparently coming to Nebraska. Football games, spending some money. Look at what's going on with that situation.
He ain't spending no money. That's the problem.
Well, somebody's spending some money, so we'll get into where that money is coming from And then also speaking of that, $2 million going towards National Guards for border trips. Again, Nebraska getting wrapped up in what's going on down in Texas. We'll talk about that and more. Of course, if there's anything that we're not talking about, feel free to drop that into the chat as well.
Yep. Whatever's on your heart and mind, and also, I'm gonna put out the two things that I'm gonna put out the two things that I'm putting to the chat. As a matter of fact, chat chimers of love. First of all, that challenge that we have that you go ahead and join your neighborhood association, and also if you don't have a neighborhood association, start one. We have two great resources in Kimra Snipes and Precious McKesson. Put some respect on their names. They can definitely help you get whatever you got to get going as far as the neighborhood situation is concerned. We consider ourselves a virtual neighborhood association with no geographic borders. But as Kimra Snipes puts it, the location that you're in, the neighbors that you're around is also very important. That actual physical area that you're in is very important. So and it's the birth of trying to take any kind of action and gather together and organize. You organize from your neighborhoods first. So join your neighborhood association. Put that challenge out to everybody. Start one if you don't have one. And also today's challenge is, periodically through the show, just drop some little nuggets in about what it is that your experience with hip hop. It being the 50th anniversary today, the 50th birthday of hip hop was 50 years ago today. So yeah, I'd love to still hear any of that while we go on through the stories. And stay tuned. We do have a special guest coming in. JaKeen Fox will be here, and he'll be talking about some things as well, some new articles that he just wrote and dropped. So really appreciate that. Stacey Jean says, "Good morning, first Sky Omaha family and friends. Thank God it's Friday." It's not feeling like a Friday to me, man. It's not feeling like. Could be Leia Keister not coming in here with her fry yippee yah yippee yo yay. I don't know,
Yeah,
but it
if
feels like a
anybody,
Monday to me.
if anybody is friends with her on Facebook, reach out. Make sure she's
Yeah.
all right.
Also, before we jump into the stories too, I gotta just make mention, those of us that have friends in the islands. Man, rest in peace to a whole city, a whole town in Maui that burned down. 50
Mm,
people, 55 people now are found dead, and hundreds and I'm sorry, thousands displaced over this big brush fire that happened out there. I personally had a really close friend that lived in the town that burned down, and I was worried all day long. She couldn't get on the phone because the phone lines were down, everything was down. So
but did you reach her?
she finally hit up and said she was safe.
Okay.
But that was really really scary, man. People were jumping into the ocean to escape them flames, bro.
What?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest
Mm,
devastating things ever. So just want to say shout out to all. We got people in Hawaii listening to us too. Friends on Kauai, Oahu, and Maui, and so just shout out to everybody. Just whatever it is that you guys need help with, let us know. Yeah, that was a very very scary day yesterday. Just trying to get in touch with everybody who lived in those areas that we couldn't reach. So
man, definitely, man. Prayers and peace to all everyone impacted by that. I don't know. At some point, we might have to talk about these fires that's going on, man. Of course, we talked about what's happening in Canada and how it's impacting the air quality even down in Omaha, but now Hawaii. What's going on? What's
yeah,
going on?
global warming. Anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into something. What's top of your mind for you, buddy?
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and hmm. Let's kick off with some positive news. I guess we'll start off with this black business again. KMTV reports black business help boost economy and grow community in the Omaha metro, and hopefully that will be the case moving forward. With hundreds of millions of dollars coming into the community, with the Millions of African Chamber of Commerce said black-owned business has already been driving force behind economy in the city. That's definitely the case for one Xavier Jackson, who's definitely a cool cat. Might I say so myself? And he's doing
Mm,
some cool things, man. Connecting local artists with local art lovers. We're all about the arts here on First Sky Omaha, and it seems like he's making waves in that arena. He says, and really the last hope to give people kind of an outlet or an opportunity to advance their lives in a positive way. His business, the local art plug, has grown with the physical location for artists of all kinds to connect. He believes this month is a perfect way to get people introduced to what we have to offer. He says he's actually been in business since 2016 and first struggled to connect with other artists in the area, but now has seen success. In the Midlands African Chamber of Commerce says that black-owned businesses are again driving that force, actually CEO of the chamber, Corinne Soap, says celebrate the resilience of these communities and highlight the importance of all us coming together, which is definitely kind of an energy we're feeling, man. Talking about the melee in Montgomery, Black August, all of this energy it can definitely point towards, again, us coming together, even as we continue to celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Again, that was started to bring people together. There was a lot of violence in the community. Of course, the heroin wave was coming through communities. Crack epidemic was happening. So again, anything to bring the people together is a good thing. She went on also to say, I started this business because I remember growing up not seeing many fashion designers like myself. I just really wanted to use my clothing as a way to let individuals express themselves. So again, young people, mind you, doing business in the community and making waves. So again, big shout out to these individuals. Not really too familiar with the Midlands African Chamber of Commerce. Definitely have to bring somebody on from there to dive more into what they're doing and how they're supporting these business owners.
Well, we are a member of the African Chamber of Commerce, so we will definitely dive in and find out more about how we can connect with them. So we went ahead and looked into that, and I met a couple of the representatives at a couple of outings, and I was pretty sold on the solidarity that's happening
Oh yeah,
when you join that situation. So yeah, that's what's up, man. Appreciate that article for sure. We will definitely have a member of the Black Chamber on the African Midlands on and talk to them about what's going on with them and more about Black business as well. It's definitely something to continue. Don't forget as well, we have pinned at the top of Friends of First Sky Omaha this ongoing list of Black businesses that Amy
yeah,
Hutflis
man.
Chat Chimer started. And she now has a way that you can register and put your business in to add to the list. List is pretty huge. It's growing pretty fast. So we're going to continue to do that so we can continue to support Black business. That's what this is really all about for us in a big way. So appreciate that. Speaking of Black business, that woman, Miss Erica Phelps, says from 4:30 to 5:30 there will be slushes from Island Chill 402 at the Play
Hey,
School House, my house. Stop by, say hi, and get a cold, sweet treat. That's what's up. So first of all, shout out to Miss Erica Feld, who is taking care of the babies over there. If
man.
you have anybody that you need watched from 2 to, I believe you said the ages was 2 to 5, or 2 on. I'm not sure how high up you go as far as the age of the kids, but she does have spaces left. You can get with her, and if you don't have kids that you need watch you, and you know somebody that does, go ahead and make that referral. She can
Yeah.
keep her business rolling. And shout out to Shawnee. Is that what's the lady from Island Chill's name?
Yeah, I think it's Shawnee.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was gonna mention. Speaking of unity.
man, that and gets down with them slushes too. 2 to 6, thank you. Yeah, 2 to 6 years
Okay.
old for Miss Erica Phelps Play School. But that's what's up, man. I love the unity on that. 4:30 to 5:30 slushes for the kids over there. Island Chill 402 gets down. Love it.
Man.
The Hood Tables in the chat says, good morning, everyone. Ronnie Shields out in California says, good everything, Dove and God. That's what's up, man.
Hey,
Appreciate you,
okay.
bro. Shawnee Hernandez, thank you, Miss Erica
Yeah.
Felt, giving the name. Brother Jonathan Benjamin Alvarado's in the chat, all the way from
Hey.
Arizona. He says, I'm sorry, not Arizona. He's in Texas now. He says,
Mm.
my first hip hop memory, other than listening to the radio, was going to see Rocksteady Crew at the Florentine Gardens in Hollywood. Man, you took me back with that one in '82. He says, I went to Block Party in the Bronx in 1980, but I didn't know what I was seeing and hearing. That's what's up, man. That's
Man.
there you go. And I know
Man.
brother Alvarado well enough to know about the many shows he went to go see, the De La Souls and the Tribe Called Quest and all the classic stuff everywhere. He's got stories. He got mad stories about places that he went to check out. So that's what's really up with he's a hip hop historian as far as I'm concerned. So he's hit me to some records and stuff I didn't even know about. So yeah, shout out to brother Jonathan Benjamin Alvarado on that, man. We'll have to
Hey.
have him on the show to talk about hip hop one day for real.
Hey, I would love that. I would love that. But yeah,
Yep.
definitely keep the stories coming. Again, celebrating 50 years of hip hop today. So yeah, let us know what are your early memories of hip hop. How'd you get introduced? How'd you get
There you
introduced?
go. What's up, Miss Kimber Snipes? Good morning, y'all.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have a special guest sitting in the wings. We told you he was going to be here, and he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, JaKeen Fox is in the building.
Hey.
Good
JaKeen the
You
morning.
guys
Saint,
always
as we
give the
like to
best
call him.
introductions. Always the best introductions.
Thanks,
Oh
man.
yeah,
What's
oh yeah.
Appreciate it.
going on?
How's it
Nothing
going?
much, man. How you doing?
I am all right. This is early. My productive hours are 11 to 3. So,
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
yeah. So, but this is a good reason to be up early. So I appreciate the invitation as
Oh
always.
yeah.
Always happy to be in the room with y'all.
I
Oh yeah.
appreciate
Oh
that,
yeah.
man. Yeah, it's early. That's my production times too, bro. So when I get up at 5 to get the show together,
Oh,
that's why we
we.
be struggling. We be struggling.
Man.
You know how musicians, you know how artists do. I won't fail to mention to everybody. Yeah, Mr. Fox. Good morning. That woman says, Brother Fox. We be calling him JaKeen be singing because
Yes, yes.
if you haven't heard him sing, I would suggest you go get that Freedom Summer record and hear
Okay.
how it gets down for real.
I know I got to
Uh,
spin that back. I haven't listened to that in a little bit myself. I might need to go
Man.
run that back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
I have to
ahead.
do that.
yeah, man.
Remind
Well,
yourself.
appreciate you coming on, bro. We've been having discussions behind the scenes about black media, building black media out in a big way. I'm very glad that you're in it. I always considered you a very talented journalist, and I really like the fact that you're writing again and all that good stuff. And I know you got some stuff that's been on your mind. Tell us what's going on with you.
Yeah, I just published my latest article on Medium. If you aren't aware, on July 31st, just a couple weeks ago, Omaha Community Playhouse canceled their awards night ceremony 2 hours before the curtains were supposed to rise on that event. Really
Yeah.
shocking. The whole community, obviously, people were getting up, getting dressed, getting prepared for that night. Staff had already started setting up when that decision came over to cancel the awards amid rumors of a protest that was supposed to happen.
Mm.
That really caught my eye. I read the Omaha Community Playhouse's social media posts where they provided that information cancellation. No email blast, no calls, just a post on social media that garnered over maybe 200 comments from community members on both sides of the issues. But I was interested in the story because Black performers from OCP, specifically the Dream Girls cast, felt that the rumors of protests were being kind of targeted and racialized, and they felt like they were catching a lot of that heat. So I wanted to make sure that their voices were platformed. I interviewed about 8 people, 8 Black performers from OCP's kind of cast list, including the legendary Kathy Tyree,
Mm.
who was the former director of inclusion, who hasn't really spoke out on the issues surrounding her resignation, but gave me a little bit of insight on that, which I share in the article as much as she could, as she's moving those things forward. But we got some good conversation from huge people in the community like Danny Cleveland and Just Beeee. And we really got to the bottom of that issue as far as the Black performers were concerned.
Wow, I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you did that. I saw that. I was wondering what's going on. I work over at the Benson Theater, so theater news is floating around all the time now. When that happened, the thing that caught me was it was hours away. People were like, "Look, I already dropped my kids off at the babysitter already." For them to just put an email, a social media blast out like that, and not the ticket holders didn't get no email.
Mhm.
I was like,
Man.
this. First of all, that's a bad way to do that. Second of all, it sounded like a bad reason to do it. So I'm glad that you did some deep dive on there. I can't wait to read that article. I did put
Yeah,
the article in the chat for you guys. Mhm.
Yeah, some important things came up. Obviously, the cancellation is just the tip of the iceberg with some of the problems that have been going on at the Omaha Community Playhouse. I did just mention Kathy Tyree's resignation, a seemingly unprepared resignation that she speaks about in this article, and we see that problem started even before then with just how cast members felt about differing treatment when it came to majority Black cast shows, just the kind of difference in treatment that they had or felt like they had. And I wanted to make sure that we kind of covered that. So multiple issues. You'll see this decision has created a real void in some of their talent. So they're currently looking for a new director of inclusion. The latest director, who had only been there for 3 weeks, has resigned in an email that I have inside of that article. We
Wow.
saw that their director of marketing and PR resigned. Another piece that you'll see really deeply in that article, just kind of showcasing her commentary on that. And unfortunately, outgoing executive director Katie Brahman couldn't be reached for comment, didn't respond to calls or messages, and that includes the artistic director as well, Steven Santa. I wasn't able to get a hold of him, didn't respond to calls or emails.
Wow, this is deep.
So just so I'm clear, so the cancellation or the expected protest, they were expecting people to protest everything that you're saying as far as just racial treatment, or what was the protest?
From what I have gathered just during the time that I've been interviewing is that this decision was really made by executive leadership, specifically Steven Santa, who's the artistic director, and Katie Brahman. There was an emergency meeting held. I got some information from some people that were sitting in on that meeting and said that they weren't given any real idea of what kind of protest this would be, who would be protesting, or where that information came from. That story might be developing a little bit this week, and I'm going to make some more phone calls to see if I can add on to what I've written in the article. But there was no real explanation about why. He just said that it was well sourced and wouldn't give any more information. I have an email from Steven Santa to staff really taking responsibility for the negative reaction that came from that decision, but no details shared about where the information came from.
Okay.
Just want to mention for those of you in the chat and the Ghost listeners that don't really know, Omaha Playhouse it's called Omaha Playhouse, right? Omaha Playhouse,
Omaha Community Playhouse.
Community Playhouse is a staple in Omaha. It's an institution. It's been here since I don't even know how long. This is the long time. Henry Fonda was an actor there when he was young. You know what I'm saying? Marlon Brando was an actor there when he was young. This is a major institution in Omaha, and lately I've been seeing in the past few years them trying to diversify a little bit. You know, I know that they did the Color Purple over there. I believe
they did.
I believe they did Dream Girls. So you know, after it started coming on a lot of people in the Black community on their radar a little bit more to hit some of these shows, and this is why we know about who Kathy Tyree is, who's a legendary director. And a lot of the, I run into people all the time there that was like, yeah, I just did Dream Girls over there, so there's been a few more things happening, which is why this is so significant, because now that they have started doing stuff with more people of color, then here we are in situations where people are talking about what was fair, not fair, and so on. I think somebody in the chat was Miss Erica Phelps says, I heard they cast all white people in roles where there were characters that were Latina. So as you can see, little bits and pieces of information is going out about.
And I want to clarify that, because we get to that in the article as well, and that's not exactly the case. So around the play In the Heights, the musical, which is an amazing musical, Lin-Manuel Miranda, I think the same person that did Hamilton, he directed that play and kind of brought it back to its height of popularity. And the controversy around that was that they could not, the Omaha Community Playhouse felt like they could not find Latino performers that could adequately perform in those roles. Right. And so they offered a sizable compensation for out-of-town artists to come. They were going to pay for their flights, pay for their housing, pay them a stipend while they're here, give them a food per diem, which racked up to about a $4,000 investment in some of these artists. And local performers are given $700 for 3 months of their work, rehearsals and performances. So this caused a huge controversy in the community. It caused a lot of conversation around what makes a professional. Is it just location, geography, or is it really the time commitment and the honing of their craft? And so you'll see a lot of comments about that in the article.
Wow.
Correct me if I'm mistaken, but didn't the late great John Beasley also do a lot of work as far as trying to diversify Omaha Community Playhouse and bring more actors of quote unquote color to there?
He did a lot of work. I think his son Tyrone has directed at the Omaha Community Playhouse. John Beasley had his own theater, so I'm not sure exactly how much he spent time trying to diversify that stage, because he had one of his own. but definitely attended those shows. He actually, when my mother starred in Raisin in the Sun as Lena, that main role, he was in the audience for a lot of those performances. So a really great supporter.
Nice.
Okay. But speaking of that, I mean, kind of doing for self. Again, we've been talking behind the scenes about Black media. What do you think now with all this coming out, especially with other conversations that we're having about inclusivity, and just DEI positions. Again, we haven't even talked about Kathy Tyree and this whole domino effect of DEI practitioners losing their jobs or resigning. What are your thoughts about that as far as inclusion in the theater realm and us doing for ourselves?
Yeah, when I talked to Kathy, I think one of the main reasons she felt it was necessary for her to leave that position is because a lot of the decisions that she felt were part of her purview were being made outside of her. And I think that's what you'll see a lot of the times when people hire on DEI professionals, and they're a department of one, not well resourced, not well supported, and have a hard time really implementing a lot of the work that they're there to do. It's almost a stepping into a lose-lose situation where you want to do the best you can for your community, but aren't really given the departmental resources to accomplish that. But Kathy did amazing work, did amazing things to try to diversify the stage, which is a product of why you saw how the last season was as diverse as it was. But again, when institutions, white people, individuals specifically feel that things are going outside of their realm of control, a lot of those decisions start to get pulled back on, and we see that struggle internally, and that reflects in how the community is engaged. As you can see, there haven't been any real opportunities for performers to engage with the leadership to help them understand why they feel the way that they feel, and without a person that can really translate that for organizations in a real way, we see these kind of tensions grow over and over again in our community, and we see good people get pushed out of those important positions.
Yeah. We the DEI person that people are hiring, it's almost like a performative thing. Like white companies are like, we have a diversity person, and they're never allowed to do their job all the way. It seems like to me, and it don't last in there. That's all the way back for us. That was the first inclination for us was when
Sharif.
Brother Sharif got fired from OPS. He was not able to do the job he was there to do with diversifying things. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation for sure. I like how Brother Knight in the chat says, but could this just be a case of white peopling? It does. It feels like that. It feels like institutional to me because of
I think a lot of the times that fear of change really shows up in institutions, and the fear of kind of losing control of what has been a historic audience. A lot of the demographic of the people that are buying those season tickets are older white folks. They're looking for a certain kind of show, and sometimes institutions can get caught up in pleasing just one part of the demographic, not really understanding that they have a whole other ethnic businesses that they can really tap into. Black people, when we see our shows, we sell them out every time at the Omaha Community Playhouse. Sold out shows, making millions of dollars for these institutions. And I think performers were just asking for some of that love back in the form of compensation and better treatment.
Yeah. I can't wait to dig into this. I want to find out who's threatening doing this protesting, especially when we had so many of our black actors and directors that were up for some of these awards, and who was threatening to do the protesting of these award shows to the point where they decided to do that. Something that's also swimming in my head too is where the location of the Omaha Community Playhouse.
Paul.
Anybody in Omaha know where Happy Hollow is?
Paul, how do you read my mind?
Because we've been doing this a while, buddy.
Literally, I was just thinking about that. Like the Omaha Conservatory of Music, Omaha Community Playhouse, these high-end arts institutions are in a certain area, and go ahead, Paul. Just go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So when I first got to town and found my way over to the Happy Hollow Street and all those big beautiful houses, like who live over here? This is what I'm talking about. Right on the edge of these neighborhoods are Omaha Community Playhouse. And like I said, it's an institution in Omaha. It's a legendary spot that Marlon Brando was at, and the Fonda family came through, and a whole bunch of other people that I don't, that that probably could be named. So yeah, man, this is you up fighting against an institution, and people, like you said, the season ticket holders and stuff like that. It makes me wonder, like, who's threatening the protest.
Man, I wasn't even thinking about it like that.
I mean, you will not find that answer. If Steven Santa has that information, it is well guarded, and has not come to light as of yet. I am still talking to folks to see if we can find where that accusation came from, and if we can get somebody on the record to really corroborate that. But really, at this time, it was Steven Santa's word, and the board somehow, somehow ran with it. Some felt like they weren't well informed before the decision was made. So we have a lot of kind of like mixed emotions and reactions to the news that this was canceled. A lot of board members felt like they weren't informed beforehand. They were informed of a decision, not informed of a discussion to cancel.
Wow.
And staff felt similar.
At this point, has there been any discussion about, will they reschedule the award show? Will they just send out the awards without having a show? Have you heard anything about that?
They announced the winners the same night, maybe an hour afterwards. And I don't know if anyone has received an award in the mail, but award winners were announced on social media. The Black performers that I talked to, they created their own awards night for themselves. That same night, They gathered at a castmate's house and just did their acceptance speeches with hot sauce bottles as microphones, and continued the celebration of a lot of them feel like their castmates are family now. They feel a lot of respect and admiration for each other, and didn't want the cancellation of this formal event to really put a bad taste in their mouth about the time that they had together. So they celebrated for themselves, and hopefully if they do get physical awards, those are in the mail.
Man, that's crazy, bro. Man. Whew. Okay. It feels crazy. I'm gonna jump into the chat a little bit. Malik Rogers says a lot of resignations in the community going on. Someone should look into Girls Inc. head left after a couple of months. Follow the money. Also, like how brother Knight switched around the saying. He said, "Oh, they understand it, but they will cut off their faces to spite their nose."
Cut off their nose to spite their face.
Yes, sir.
Or either way, you might be right about that. There have been significant resignations in some high level positions. Obviously, Vita Jeffries from the Omaha Chamber. We've seen Girls Inc. Actually, I don't know if it was a resignation or a firing of their most recent executive director, but they did just announce a new hire, Candy Charmise, I think is her last name, who has great standing in the community, a Black woman, has done great work in the DEI space from what I've seen. Just to be transparent, that is a friend of mine, and I've seen her do great work. So I think the community is really excited about her leadership in that role, and hoping that something great comes from her being there.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to mention real quick too, like this is, the community of especially the stage community is not just all community, Omaha Community Playhouse. The great Kathy Tyree directed the play over at Benson Theater. She directed it was American Son, which was awesome. We had a lot of great actors on stage for that. Also, I'm thinking about
did Nick Wickham do something?
Yeah, Nick Wickham did he also did a Choir Boy over there too. Choir Boy was heavy. But I was thinking about Union for Contemporary Art and how they're building out their black box theater over there, named after Mama Tyree, and it's gonna, I'm sure that this you ain't gonna have to worry about the diversity of the plays over there. So there's still places for us everywhere. This is just unfortunate that this all went down over at the Playhouse like this, because like I said, we got into the institution and we were doing some things. So of course they want to stifle, and they don't feel good.
It is unfortunate, definitely. But like you said, the Black performers have kind of laid down the gauntlet that they don't feel comfortable auditioning or patroning Omaha Community Playhouse after these engagements. And so they've really committed to the Shirley Tyree Theater once that's created, the Benson Theater, Blue Barn. Folks mentioned the Rose Little Theater in Bellevue. They are really thinking about their other options and making sure that they're going where they feel valued and affirmed. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the Omaha Community Playhouse anymore.
I believe the Chambers building, what Ms. Gayla Chambers is doing in honor of the Senator Ernie Chambers, will have a theater in that building as well.
Yeah. Well, right on. If you guys have any more comments on this, appreciate everybody's comments on this. And if you didn't know about this subject, definitely check out the article. I'll put that article in the chat once again for you to look. I lost it now. I'll find it again and put it in the chat. I think I got it right here. I just opened up the wrong window. Appreciate everybody that's checking out. I highly encourage you read the article. Like I said, JaKeen Fox is one of my favorite journalists, and he's back writing. I love this medium.com. We are in talks of really expanding some of this stuff. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about this particular story. I kind of want to reach out to the powers that be over there at the Community Playhouse, have them on here. And I love, and some of the stuff that we were talking about, it'd be good to see maybe in the Omaha Star, a more deep dive piece on Miss Kathy Tyree, perhaps. So there's a lot more that we can dig deep into this story. I really appreciate that. Mama God in the chat says, Paul, I see an opportunity for Benson Theater to host more and gain OCO lost
patronage.
Patronage on stage. Yeah, I do too. Definitely. I mean, we're definitely open for that. As a matter of fact, I feel like we have one of the only working actual DEI people in town, which is Michelle Trosclair over there at Benson Theater. So, and she is there for a very particular, a real reason. Like, she's the only one I'm seeing is getting the latitude to do the work by our Benson Theater team. I mean, all of us is over there, so we gonna make sure that gets in there. So, yeah, we would definitely do that. We're a stage. We're not like the Blue Barn. We're not like the Rose. We're more of a community space. People can come, first time writers can come in there and do their plays or do their concerts or do their show their film, have their wedding. There's a whole lot of stuff you can do at Benson Theater. It's not quite a theater like the other theaters, but we do a lot of stuff on stage. We do have a proper stage for people to do their productions on, and we do work with people like Omaha Performing Arts, and other people. So we're also trying to be there for the community as well, and more so for the community than for the world of the theater. That's what I really need to say about Benson Theater. That's why we're in a good position to bring some of this stuff to the theater, because we're doing this for the community more than we're doing this for the theater scene. So take what you will from that. Let's move on from that subject. I know you got some other things on your mind too. I saw Buddy read something off your page. Did you want to
what did my page say?
Oh Lord. No. Hey, you're not gonna get in trouble. No, you posted actually something about some things going on at the border, about some of the buoys you said that had razors on them, and we were kind of looking into the news, and there's actually a Nebraska connection. Apparently Nebraska is going to use up to $2 million in pandemic funds for National Guards to send to Texas to help with border patrol and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely one thing.
I mean, a really horrible, development in Florida. Governor DeSantis utilized funds to create razored buoys along the water border of the Rio de Grande. These are really, really horrible devices. Huge orange buoys with razors lined in between their creases. So as immigrants or migrants are climbing over these things, if they slip, they're killed. 2 people have already been killed on the border because of these inventions. So our public funds are going directly to kill migrants, people that are looking for asylum, people that are escaping violence and gang violence in their homes, are risking their lives to come to have a better life for themselves, their families. We know that children often are doing these border crossings unsupervised by their own parents, but are sent on these trips in hopes of a better life. And those are some of the things that they're coming up against on the border, really deadly devices. And we know these are kind of gimmicks to some GOP conservatives that are just looking to take some of that MAGA support and hope and for their presidential runs and political gains, and putting real people's lives in danger. So it was a really sad development to see, and I'm embarrassed as a Nebraskan to see that connection between ourselves and killing devices down in Florida. So a really scary thing. Yeah.
We're talking about following the money all the time, and we're talking about especially the ARPA funds that are coming into North and South Omaha, and how tough of a fight it was for the brothers Senators Terrell McKinney and Justin Wayne to make that happen. And then you think about they're just nonchalantly spending $2 million to send some of our troops down to the border to help some other state keep people out. I mean, like who makes, you know what I'm saying? Like when you think about who makes these decisions, and it just feels bad, and it's just it's a mess. But yeah, I really think that we need to be looking out for this. I mean, anytime DeSantis chimes up, or anytime we hear anything about Florida, we kind of perk our ears up, not just because of Buddy's connection, but because we feel like Nebraska sometimes be trying to follow suit.
I mean,
a lot of stuff going on over there.
Yeah, you'll definitely see a lot of monkey see, monkey do from Nebraskan politicians, specifically this upcoming legislature. We just sat in on a hearing that Senator McKinney invited everyone down to talk about social emotional learning. Conservative politicians like Senator Merman, who is the chair of the Education Committee, quoted as saying that he believes that SEL is just another form of critical race theory that we're trying to sneak into schools and early education. When asked by Senator Conrad about the Florida legislation and the quote from DeSantis about slavery being a benefit to Black people, Senator Merman had a hard time answering that question, and said that we hope that everyone benefits from their past. And once he heard the crowd reaction, kind of backpedaled and said, obviously he wasn't talking about slavery, but had a hard time really articulating the distinction that he was mentioning, while still hoping to stay connected to, that nonsensical and really disrespectful tagline from Governor DeSantis.
Bro.
Yep.
It was hard to listen to. Senator Wayne was in and out of that session, in and out of that hearing. Myself, and I think there was one other Black person in the room I also got to interview. I'm forgetting his name, but he's actually the secretary for the NAACP in Lincoln. Just a really disappointing and jaw-dropping conversation that was had in that hearing. It's tough to be Black and involved in politics, or even listen to politics in Nebraska sometimes, because of the ignorance that we'll hear and have to be subjected to. So I understood Senator Wayne's motion, but I think Senator Danielle Conrad, formerly of the ACLU, did a great job in questioning the speakers that came up. This was a closed testimony session, so quote unquote subject matter experts were invited up, but personally it was tough to listen to.
Yeah. Was that the one they had nobody from OPS there?
Correct.
Yep.
But a lot of OPS teachers in the audience, a lot of OPS teachers that were organizing in the hallways and engaged in the kind of counter hearing that happened, that Senator Michaela Cavanaugh set up with press, because testimony was closed in the actual hearing. So she wanted to make sure that folks had the opportunity to speak. And I think a lot of people from Omaha used that time wisely to engage in that conversation.
Good. Now we talked a lot about that conversation, but we didn't feel it. We didn't have anybody in the room in the first conversation. So I'm so glad to hear that you were there and you're able to report on what was said in there and the feeling behind all that too. So we really appreciate you taking the time to go to that one and go down there and represent. That also reminds me of that you went recently to a speech that Brother McKinney gave over the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. You were going to bring us a few notes on that too. Did you have anything you wanted to really highlight from that speech?
I am actually going to be putting out that article later today as well.
Good.
Really enjoyed that experience. Yeah, it was a town hall. So Senator McKinney had a moment where he read his commentary and talked about the need to clarify some of the miscommunications or misunderstandings that had been happening during his time in the legislature. He spent time talking about his vote on LB 77. He spent time talking about LB 753, which is the school choice school credit tax credit. It's hard to think about how to really define that because the conversation is set up as choice, but this bill specifically is to create tax credits for individuals and corporations that fund private elementary and secondary schools. So it is a tax credit technically. A lot of commentary from the audience around that on both sides, which was really interesting. And I'm definitely going to follow up on that to have a more pointed article or about that conversation in our community, because I think a lot of people just assume Black people's positions on schools. And I think there's a lot of rich commentary to have around that before this eventually gets on the ballot, which it looks like it will be on the ballot in 2024. That's my estimation. Don't quote me on that, but it looks like the signature collection is going really well for Support Our Schools. So I believe we'll see that on the ballot.
Definitely active.
Yeah. So a lot of commentary around that. And then just a lot of commentary from the community. Some folks that didn't really know Senator McKinney and utilize this time to kind of voice their concern about the representation and if it's strong enough in the legislature, and some folks that were really just interested in finding out how they can stay abreast of this legislative information. And of course, a huge conversation around the ARPA funds and that second round, which Senator McKinney promised that he would stay on top of and ensure that the community gets that information as soon as he has it.
Yeah. I really give them props, man. I've never seen any senators come on and be so forthcoming with information, and on a regular basis here on the show. I know we take it for granted sometimes because we know we're gonna come on every Monday now, but sometimes I just sit back and I'm like, whoa, these two senators come on every Monday and break down what's going on, man, so that we can understand what's happening. And they didn't have to do that. They opened the door for a whole lot of trouble. As a matter of fact, as soon as you start telling a whole bunch of when you get real transparent, then you open the door for a whole lot of criticism. And they definitely got it. And they were pretty hurt by the fact that there was a lot of our community that was giving them that criticism. But they pushed through that and kept on giving the information, keep on coming on. So I really give them props on top of everything they got to do with the legislature to be able to come out and communicate to the people as well. So hopefully a lot of other senators will follow suit with that and come out with some transparency and some communication a little bit more as well.
Also looking forward to how you lay out this education conversation, because it's funny that you're picking up on the same thing, at the town hall. Even when we have the conversation here on First Sky, the chat is pretty split as far as, the whole school choice tax credit conversation. So I'm looking forward to how you break that down as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to me to make sure that we're always platforming folks that don't often get the kind of visibility that they deserve. I think this decision really impacts students. So I'm doing a lot of outreach to engage students to have this conversation to see how they feel like it impacts them. And then, of course, we're going to talk to Black parents and really talk through, the pros and cons of this conversation. Because for transparency's sake, I am part of the signature collection for Support Our Schools. I really think that it should, and not for the reason of ensuring that we don't have private schools, but I'm a believer in direct democracy. And I think there's a real opportunity to utilize ballot initiatives to ensure that we all have a voice on these important issues. So I think putting things on the ballot in 2024 is a way that we build that kind of people power muscle. If your representatives aren't passing the legislation that you think should be happening, we can create our own initiatives and put those things on the ballot through the signature collection process. So I think the more we normalize that process and utilize our civic powers, the more opportunity we have to engage folks that usually don't engage on candidates, but have strong opinions on issues.
Love that. This is season 6 for us. Our topic here is boots on the roots, and we feel like you are a prime example of that. we've learned over time that putting these ballot initiatives and things like that in play is the way that we can change change things around here. It takes action. Some of the action that we're talking about taking from this season forward has to do with exactly what you're talking about. So I really appreciate you heading that up as well. And whatever we can do to support your efforts on that, we will always do, and let us know.
Yeah.
Like Wanda Lewis said,
just letting people know that this is a nonpartisan issue, that it's not about Dem or Republican. This is about getting that one vote each kind of mentality, and really making sure that you're connected to issues and that you have your say. Sometimes we elect folks and we don't hear from them for a year or two, and they're out there making decisions on their own. And that's untenable for the way that we want to live, because it's not really landing on Black people as it should. So we have to make sure that we're really engaged in that process and that we have our say when we need it.
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. I like what Brother Knight said a little earlier in the chat. He said, "Don't be ashamed unless you're invested in the devices." So, you said earlier, sometimes we're ashamed to be Nebraskan sometimes because of what's going on here. But I like what he's saying. Don't be ashamed unless you're invested in these devices. We're obviously invested in the opposite in fighting these devices, and we can be proud of that. So I appreciate you coming on as always, my brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Stay connected to that Medium site. I'll have a couple good articles coming out. Got a great opportunity this weekend to do some big interviews and hit some things at some new angles. So I'm really excited about some of the work that we'll have coming out. And again, anytime I get to partner and talk to you all on the show is a good start to my day. So I appreciate it.
Love it, man.
Yeah, thanks for meeting us outside of office hours. Definitely appreciate that.
I'll be waking up like...
looking forward to the work. Appreciate you as always.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. All right.
Amy H. called you field correspondent, JaKeen Fox. Man on
I'll
the street.
take it. Yeah.
Hey.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. You too.
Peace. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. There you go. JaKeen be singing. Correspondent, man on the street. Oh, what's this? Okay. I wasn't trying to play this track, but it sounds nice.
Let's roll with it.
We'll take a quick break and come right back. First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd.
Hey.
Chad Chambers, Ghost listeners, radio listeners, stay tuned. Welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the DS.
Paul B, the Dove, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, listeners, ghost listeners, radio listeners. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for chat chimers, man. Appreciate everybody that's chimed into the chat.
Thank you.
Wanda Lewis says, sounds a little bit like You Make Me Feel Brand New. Okay.
Put
that classic on it.
Vibes.
Yeah, man. I love it. Miss Erica Felt is in the chat talking a little bit about how funny it is that SEL is being lambasted. She says, that's so bizarre to me. I teach SEL in littles every day. If people can't identify their feelings and learn to appropriately express them, we have more criminals. Maybe that's the goal.
Well, we do know they're building more prisons and expect them to be filled by a certain time. So, it ain't too hard to put one and two together.
Most definitely. If you missed any parts of the show, go back and check it out on Facebook and YouTube. And when you do, please jump into the chat and read the chat. There's a lot of points going on in the chat for sure. So really appreciate everybody who's joined into the chat as well.
Yeah.
Just kind of going up. Rick Fulton is in the chat, and wasn't really following our flow of conversation, but he has some really good information about Sokol. I would suggest, Brother Fulton, if you could gather some of that information up and put it in Friends of First Sky Omaha, we can definitely check it out there. I'm not going to go back and read every entry you had here, but interesting history on Sokol. If you guys don't know who Sokol is, he was a big figure in Omaha. Did just deep. It's a whole story. Go back and definitely check it out if you can have a chance to do that. Also, I would say, who else did I want to highlight here? Miss Erica Felt was talking about couldn't get financial assistance for the longest when fighting cancer because they prefer to build murderous fences. Talking about where the funds go. You following the money. Where do they spend money? It's really interesting. It's like we always hear this all the time. Your dollar is a vote. Well, that goes the same for the city. Their Mean Jeans just did the budget. Gene Souther did the budget, and people had a lot to say about that. How much money is supposed to be going to police? Where you make decisions on what money goes where is really kind of the heart of like who you are and who the city is and all that. So it's really interesting to learn those things. That's why you follow the money. You see the decisions being made. So, again, we are appreciative of that we can have these kinds of conversations and people can stay on that, follow the money, see where the money goes, see where the money's coming from.
Man.
Definitely all important. What's on your mind over there, buddy? I see you deep in thought. You checking out something?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the articles, just waiting because again, we have two articles to talk about that's definitely coming out of the conversation we just had with JaKeen, and I guess we can dive into this one about exactly what you're talking about. Again, following the money. How do we feel? $2 million in pandemic funds going to the National Guard. Again, pandemic funds that are sent to the state from the federal government for COVID-19 recovery, to help people impacted by COVID-19, those most impacted by COVID-19, namely African Americans and Latino and people of color, people with comorbidities. Is that what they were talking about? Those people.
People with long COVID. People who lost their job during COVID.
People who lost their house during COVID. Those things. But somehow, some way, it's going to send troops to Texas. Yes, Nebraskans are paying to send their public servants to the U.S. border with Mexico for the second time in just 2 months. This time, the state is using federal COVID-19 recovery funds to do this. Again, this is fresh off of Governor Jim Pillen sending 10 Nebraska state troopers to Texas for law enforcement, along with Border Patrol, and again announced just last week that he would also be deploying some 60 other Nebraska Army National Guard members to the Lone Star State for border work as well. Pillen, alongside Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds and other Republican governors who answered Texas Governor Greg Abbott's disaster declaration and called for help, agreed not to build Texas and again will just use Nebraska taxpayer dollars and federal funds to do this. Again, State Senator Carol Blood of Bellevue, big shout out to Senator Blood, a Democrat who ran against Pillen in 2022 and advocates for putting the state government's fiscal house in order, called on State Auditor Mike Foley to dig into how pandemic relief funds are being used. She worries about the state playing quote unquote shell games with funds for political purpose, which definitely this move can be seen as again. Why is Nebraska even dealing with Texas? Why is Nebraska, one of the most landlocked states in the country, sticking its nose in border policy and border politics? Definitely, things that make you scratch your head.
Yeah, well, we talk a lot about how Nebraska seems to follow suit on some of the southern states that are very, very Republican, very red. Even if we have to follow their lead, it seems like that's what we do. So it's unfortunate. I always think about that. Speaking of hip hop, I always think about that J. Cole song where he's talking about this is the future right now. Why don't I have where I can spend my tax money on an app where I can just choose which things I want to spend my tax money on. that app will never come into existence because they don't really care too much about what they don't want to hear what nobody has to say about where to spend the tax money. They want to be able to spend it where they want to spend it, unfortunately. So yeah, but man, wouldn't that be a thing if you could just pick what taxes you wanted to pay?
Man, that definitely made my ears perk up. Like, Jermaine might be on to something with that. But yeah, I definitely agree. That's probably a reality that we would never see come to fruition because quote unquote leaders like Pillin have an agenda. We always talk about this Republican script, and you got to know that this move is fresh out of the Republican playbook. Pillin does in this article, which is reported by the Nebraska Examiner, lays out his reasoning for this move. Apparently, this is stemming from a visit that he had to the border with other Republican governors back in May, and he described that visit. He described both deployments as needed as a result of that visit. He, like Governor Abbott of Texas, argues that federal government has not done enough to secure the border from quote unquote unauthorized crossing by migrants. Pillin in the statement said he supports using federal funds for this purpose, saying we must do everything we can to protect them, especially from fentanyl and other dangerous drugs smuggled into this country by drug traffickers. So again, definitely pushing this rapist and drug dealing and trying to characterize people right trying to criminalize people who are seeking asylum from countries that, let's be honest, the federal government has had a part in destabilizing to begin with. When you really want to get into it.
And it's the oldest trick in the book. They've been doing it forever. They've always pitted anybody that's come over to this country. The first things out of their mouth is you're bringing all the worst of the other people over here, all the criminals and all the it's old as America. See that.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't even. Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, well, I'm just gonna say, and the only time that we really know that that's been documented to be true is when the Europeans came. I mean, let's be honest. That's who came. That's who the Pilgrims were. That's who came from England. Where mostly that's really the only time it's been documented that a country sent their thieves and kind of the fringes of society to set up another society.
It's more so they sent those people wanted to live by their own rules, and so they came over and took over. An actual situation where England sent their prisoners over was when they populated Australia and moved them people off, because that was like prison island.
True.
Like, let's get rid of these undesirables and send them over to this other land. They can take over from the Aborigines over there. Let's just send them over there.
Man,
and, can you imagine that, a whole population of white folks that they're in the, you know what I'm saying? Like that's their ancestry comes from the prison complex. That's just a trip.
Man,
it's a trip how people do things, man.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting, But this is what we have to deal with. This is what we have to see. Again, the Republican playbook and pushing that rhetoric. So yeah, we'll definitely. I'm not even sure if we could get those dollars back or get the. I don't even know how to reverse a decision like that.
No,
Again, Pillin is the governor. It's done.
Done deal. What say you about it? Are we kind of just assuming everybody's not cool with sending troops over to the border like that and using ARPA funds or using COVID funds to do it? But anybody in the chat that thinks it's a good idea? Anybody scared? Anybody scared of what's happening in Texas and in California as far as the border is concerned? Let us know if you are. I'd like to hear your viewpoint on that for sure.
Yeah, let it be known.
And also, a good point that Wanda Lewis brought out a little earlier too. She said, if you don't get and spend the designated money for North Omaha fast by putting it in the general funds, it will go away. So if it doesn't get spent, if it's earmarked doesn't get spent, it goes into the general fund. And then, as the senators let us know, whole lot of other senators and other people got agendas, lakes, and all kinds of other things that they want to spend their money on. They got their pet projects. And so they're gonna find a way to get that money that's sitting in there if it doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen. So that's the reason why, like Senator Terrell McKinney, for instance, says that he's gonna keep his eye on what's happening with the DED. He's gonna, I'm saying, they still have to watch. They got the money. It's supposed to be going through the processes, but they still have to watch every process, and they gotta wait. They made moves in order to get it over here before it runs out of time. They've done all these things so that it doesn't go into the hands of all these other people who would rather it go to their pet projects than go to where it needs to go in North and South Omaha.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to them for keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, definitely follow the money. Definitely follow the money. Which is also kind of switching gears why I'm side eyeing this $1 billion plan from Pillin. Because we see that he's following Texas with that. What about Florida? Again, Pillin has laid out a $1 billion education bill, and there's already been some questionable comments, as JaKeen just let us know, from our chair, our legislative chair of the Education Committee, about slavery. And now we have coming out of Florida some questionable videos talking about slavery, saying basically it was a compromise. Yeah. I don't know if any of you have heard this, but this being reported out of Florida. Apparently, PragerU is the organization or the platform that they're using to get animated lessons from. Is a conservative content producer who was recently approved as an official vendor for public schools by the Florida Department of Education. So again, pay attention to what these education departments and education committees are doing. And they began circulating online. Some of these videos sparked outcry from the public, with some calling the clips indoctrination and quote unquote white supremacist propaganda. Again, some of the fiercest backlash involved a clip featuring two children who were speaking to Frederick Douglass. Apparently, they were confused by the news protest, speaking of protests, and systemic racism, and go back in time to meet an animated depiction of Frederick Douglass. And during this conversation, actually, do you have that video? Can we play a clip of that?
Go ahead and finish explaining, and then we'll show them. Yeah.
Okay. So in this video, Frederick Douglass is explaining slavery and abolition to these children. And again, let's see. He's made as a prominent activist, again, in the U.S. and internationally. Of course, he's published anti-slavery newspaper. But in this video, he could basically be seeing. I can't even put it. It's not.
Give me your words.
I can't even. Yeah. I can't even put it in words. Like basically saying slavery was a part of a conversation and a compromise that America made, and it's an ugly thing, but it was a necessary thing. And he even calls out other abolitionists, specifically William Lloyd Garrison, who was again a fellow anti-slavery activist, saying William refuses all compromise, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants to set things on fire. To which the children reply, "Sounds familiar," making again a reference to certain protests and things like that. Which is interesting because if you know anything about the teachings of Frederick Douglass, he definitely acknowledged that there needs to be a struggle for change to happen. And actually, in this article, he's quoted saying the struggle may be moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical. But it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. So again, the man that spewed these words about demanding change and calling for change, even acknowledging the fact that power will never concede anything without that. That's not the Frederick Douglass we're seeing in this video.
I don't know if y'all are understanding what's going on here. This is a cartoon video that is used with kids in school. That's what's going on here, Brother Rick Fulton. We're talking about this education situation here, where this propaganda is being shown. I'm going to show this video, and even though it's a cartoon video, it's supposed to be for kids. I'm going to say, watch at your own risk. Viewer discretion advised.
Man,
check this out if you guys haven't seen this yet.
Children, our founding fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation. They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the founding fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. It was America that began the conversation to end it. But Leo is correct that the big problems need to be approached very carefully. Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
No. Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me, and he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah, we've got that type in our time.
So, you're trying to work for change inside of the American system.
Precisely, Layla. Our system is wonderful, and the Constitution is a glorious liberty document. We just need to convince enough Americans to be true to it.
All right. That was kind of the milder versions of some of the stuff that's been talked about. Just to give you an example of of what's going on. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I'm saying. They fight critical race theory. They're fighting they're fighting SEL. They're trying to take over the school system. Remember when Governor I forgot his name already. Ricketts. See how far I'm trying to push him out of my brain.
Man.
When Ricketts was trying to take over the school board, was trying to eliminate the school board, they're trying to take control of education, and they're acting like, all the liberals are taking control of education with all this SEL and CRT. But then this is the kind of stuff that's happening here. There's states that are taking teaching about Dr. Martin Luther King out of the curriculum. There's states that are pushing cartoons like this for the kids. Yeah. And like I said, this is I've seen some stuff that's even wilder than this. Some of this whole DeSantis kind of slavery was a good thing. It taught people the skill type of talk on some of these things. Very gross. Amy H. Dot, right.
Yeah, you should see the one when they're talking to Columbus.
Oh man. I can't on the school issue. I got to push for choice. I got to push for the ability to homeschool. I got to push for the ability to create your own school. I got to push for and at the same time I got to push for them not putting this kind of stuff in public school. Like,
man,
the fight is on every level. It has to be on every level.
No fronts. And again, this is in Florida, but you see how Republican governors are sticking together and sticking to that script. We see these same conversations and the same rhetoric peeking its ugly head out in Nebraska. So don't think it ain't this, this reality is far, far away in Nebraska. It's not. It's really not.
What say you? Let us know in the chat if you feel compelled to speak up on that for sure. If you feel compelled to dig into some of that stuff, research. Look at some of these things and research, and jot some notes down on there. As a matter of fact, we're doing a training. Our second week is happening tomorrow. That'll teach you how to do just that. Take some of this, some of these ideas, some of these things that you see out here. Report on them. Bring them to the show. Let us know what you're seeing out there. Do your own research and write up something and be a citizen journalist. This training right here will help you do more of that. We have a 12-week training going on. We're in week 2 already. Content Creators Camp 2023. Second class is tomorrow. It's going to be 11 o'clock at the Culture House this time instead of the usual 10 o'clock. That's the best we could do. We were trying to push it back a little bit so that we can engage in the parade if you guys wanted to go down there. But due to the Dr. Carol Zutner's schedule, the best we can do was say 11 o'clock. So yeah, 11 to 1. You get Dr. Carol Zutner, who is in the Department of Computer Science, Design, and Journalism at Creighton University. Wonderful journalist, lots of great information. If you who were there last week, the people that were there last week, you remember that we talked about interviews. Well, she's going to show some of that stuff that Keatron Zyko was saying she was going to bring to the forefront about doing some interviews. That's going to be the subject for tomorrow, along with doing research. Along with really kind of deep diving into what's going on so that you can pull the research out, pull the stories out, and be able to report them, be able to bring them to the forefront. So appreciate that very much. And if you do any of that kind of research and you do write something that you want to share with the group, then go to Friends of First Sky Omaha and share it there, especially if it's something that we can deep dive and read. The chat here is definitely for us to kind of be in the same conversation together, and if there's anything that there is that you want to share and teach and bring to the forefront, definitely write it up and put it on Friends of First Sky Omaha. So we appreciate everybody that does that already, and love to see more people do that for sure.
Yeah.
Miss Wanda Lewis says if they choose to homeschool, the same monies is going to all other schools should go to that home. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think that you should be able to have the option. I don't see that ever happening, but you should be able to have the option to also tap into education money in order to decide to do homeschooling, or to go to a different kind of school. So I have to say that when I think about what it is that they're doing in public schools, but also at the same time, yes, and I believe that we ought to be fighting for what is being taught in public schools as well. Brother Knight says, to be honest, that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Black people aren't doing what we're supposed to do. Tell me what that is specifically. I appreciate that. Von Chapman says, get out of the way. Good morning, Von Chapman. He says, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Pull up a chair. Aquaman needs to force changing conservative priorities. Their priorities are not yours.
Man.
Most deaf.
Yeah.
Most deaf.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of options and change, there are some changes to the options in OPS that our partners at Flatwater Free Press are reporting on. And this is definitely something, especially those of you with children or young ones that deal with special needs, that you should be paying attention to. 3 schools in North Omaha specifically have been impacted. Talking about King Elementary, King Elementary, Central Park, and Walnut Hill Elementary schools have now, apparently, as a swift decision from OPS, closed all of their special needs classes as a result of staff shortages. This was the issue that the Garcia family dealt with when they learned just before school started, only really days before school started, that OPS, with the subject line updating how we deliver some special education needs, decided to again end special education services at those 3 schools, forcing the Garcia family and other families like them to have to attend other schools to keep those services that their children may need. Again, OPS has decided in those 3 schools that no special education staff, when classes start on August 16th, children of color make up about 90% of those 3 schools, mind you. And students who attend those 3 schools last year, according to state education data, students of color made up about 77% of the entire district. So again, the decision to stop offering special education at the schools came after district administrators recognized that they weren't able to hire enough teachers to go around. That's according to Susan Christopherson, who's an OPS chief academic officer. She says, we worked diligently in countless hours all summer to try to ensure that our young people could stay at the school in which they were currently attending. Due to those staffing limitations, we unfortunately had to make a decision to provide a different option in order to support the student. So again, mind you, OPS still, to my understanding, dealing with a busing situation as well. I haven't heard any reports of that problem getting improved. So let's add that into the conversation as well.
Man, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they found out, mere days before that there wasn't going to be anybody there for him. They're forcing him to change schools, or just do without special education classes. It's too bad. It's really too bad that they can't figure out how to get more teachers here. But I think at this point you'd have to work a little bit on a national search. You have to try to invite people from other states in to be teachers here. And how do you entice people to come to Nebraska? What are the reasons why people would want to relocate? Is there pay enough to be able to do that kind of relocation? Are they not paying enough? There's money in the budget, as we've stated before about the OPS budget. There's so much money there. It's more than what the city has.
Yeah.
Can they afford to raise salaries? What do you do when you don't have enough resources? It comes down to the kids are just going to suffer, and that's just all there is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I would definitely just love to see an audit. Like, how do you have so much money and still have so many problems? I don't understand that. Like you said,
all
again,
that stuff public. Yeah.
I don't know. Even if it is, where do you go to find it? How do you get it? Is it up to date?
Yeah. something we can deep dive on for sure. We definitely are having different resources there on top of that. So you can always watch the OPS meetings. You can also depend on documenters to be there. Excuse me. We also have an insider because Brianna Fool is on the board. When she gets back from traversing the world, then she'll come back and give us some reports on what's going on with OPS. But what we also learned is not just the board OPS that is the problem there. It's also the faculty and the staff. It's the people that are actually running the schools that are making these kinds of decisions. And OPS board has limited kind of influence. But it's really interesting to find out like why, like what this what is the money getting spent on? Why can't they secure teachers? What's the problem? What is the real problem? We all know kind of in general, teachers' pay has always been low. It's always low, and it's always not enough. And teachers do stuff like come out of their own pocket for supplies and all kinds of stuff like that. So it seems like you probably need to kind of revamp and figure out how to switch your spending around in order to be able to. Easier said than done, I'm quite sure. But I mean, what else can you do? You just not have the resources? Because all that's going to happen is kids are going to suffer.
And mind you, again, OPS is the largest school district in the state. And according to this article, is 77% students of color. So,
right.
There
it is. I'm going to jump into the chat. Malik Rogers says, get ready. Group of those who believe and support radical ideologies are making their way to Nebraska on October 14th for an annual festival. What is that festival, man? Tell us what that is. Love to hear a little bit more about what's going on there for sure. A little further down, see if I can catch it. He said they are coming to Nebraska on October 14th. Time to mobilize. Again, who was they? And what should we do to mobilize? Let us know. Brother Knight says they're practicing white supremacy. We're not practicing black self-sufficiency. Earlier, I asked what it is that we need to be doing. And he said, we're not practicing black self-sufficiency. So again, let us know what black sufficiency looks like to you. What would that mean? What would that mean exactly? Don't break down the whole list, but just give us a gist.
He kind of answers that. He says that means solving our issues first and not worrying about the issues of others.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't know how we can't though. We can't. It's hard to live in the metro area and not not figure out. Especially when systems in that area are affecting you some kind of way. There is some attention that has to be given to that. But I do agree that there's a lot more that we can do for self here, and that's the self-sufficiency. We're trying it in the world of the media right now, really trying to build out black media and get some mobilization going on a lot of different things. So yeah, I hear you, and there can be a lot more togetherness on that.
Man,
I think we're kind of in the era of a little bit of solidarity coming.
Now's the time to build. Also, Amy H. coming with some answers on the school audit situation. She says audits are public on their website. She says the last audit revealed heavy mismanagement of retirement funds. Yeah. Heavy mismanagement.
Malik Rogers says same concern for Black Omaha nonprofits. Where's all that money going? Good question. Also, Malik Rogers says Lincoln Public Schools had no problem filling all of their positions. Lincoln again coming through.
Man, making Omaha look bad. Figuring it out.
Von Chambers says some potential teachers are turned off by Nebraska conservative politics that affect their ability to be effective teachers. Very true. The ones that are here. I was also alluding to that when I was saying, what do you need to be is to grab talent from other areas. First of all, the pay needs to be right. Second of all, the place they're going needs to be attractive.
Yeah. We talked about California reportedly cutting off, state. Maybe, could that be a thing that's impacted? Could California send some teachers to Nebraska, or is that a thing?
I don't know. Like I said, they've cut off travel for all state people to some of these states, Nebraska being one of them.
Man,
we reported on that. So interesting stuff. 8:54 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, it is Friday, so we are going to jump into a little bit of halves, buddy. I don't mean to cut you off there. Is there, is there anything else we need to definitely state here before we move on?
There are some changes again in the city. City Council has is preparing to repeal a draft of its gun ordinances that conflict with the new Nebraska state law. The City Council president is looking into new regulations to mitigate that damage, but there are some changes. Again, remind you, LB 77, which the Nebraska legislature passed and Governor Jim Pillen signed into law, changes the laws on concealed weapons again, and allows people to carry who are 21 years or older to carry a concealed weapon without a permit, which again is causing the city council to also change their ordinances. So
we'll talk a little bit more about that next week.
Definitely.
Some of those ordinance changes for sure.
Yep.
With that said, we're going to jump into the hacks. Right before that, though, Malik Rogers is answering my question. He says October 14th is an annual festival for the Nebraska Freedom Coalition. They were the ones causing drama in legislation. Interesting. We'll have to keep our eye out for that. In the meantime, time for the haps.
What's the haps? What's happening? What's going down?
Got a few minutes left. We're going to jump into a few things that's going down. If you have any haps as well that you think we need to be looking into, especially this weekend, let us know, and we will definitely put those on Friends of First Sky Omaha and big those up some. First of all, it is the birthday of hip-hop today. 50 years ago today, Kool Herc went out and did a party in the park. It was 50 cents for the fellas, 25 cents for the ladies, and that was the beginning of that was him showcasing his skills. Beat juggling skills, where he kept the break in the beat going on the record by doing that thing where he just played all the breaks, and all the kids came out and got down, and dances started to be developed, and the element of graffiti entered into the picture. The MCs got on the microphones, and hip hop was born, according to some. So we appreciate that, and we celebrate that. And let us know. Put in Friends of First Sky Omaha. Maybe you're a top hip hop person, or the person that turned you on to hip hop, or your first hip hop experience. We'd love to hear about that. In the meantime, between time, of course, you know what's going on tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. It's going to be the parade, the victory parade and celebration, Saturday, August 12th, from 10 to noon. Brother Terrence Crawford, if you want to go out and celebrate his victory and celebrate with the king here, Terrence Crawford, Terrence Bud Crawford. We call them around here. Victory Parade and Celebration, Saturday, August 12th. Tomorrow from 10 to noon. It's going to start at 19th and Farnham, and it's going to go through like by the Gene Leahy Mall area. So definitely check that out. The city has put this on for the brother, so appreciate him. And if you want to go out and check him out, then hit it at 10 o'clock, because 11 o'clock is going to be Content Creators Camp 2023 this week. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold up.
Yeah, you got the right year though.
I got the right year this time. Content Creators Camp 2023. Thank you. Said not 2013.
Yep.
Yes, this is a 12-week training that we, the First Sky Omaha, and the Flatwater Free Press is putting on. This week is going to be at the Culture House, and it's going to start at 11 o'clock. And you have the instruction from Dr. Carol Zugner. She's from Creighton University. Is going to come and give you some really, really good journalism advice and lessons and all that good stuff. So if you haven't already registered for this, then please go ahead and do that. There's a QR code there, and you can go to Friends of First Sky Omaha, and it's pinned to the top there. You can go ahead and register and get your name in. If you've already registered and you've been to this already, you don't have to re-register. This is just for people that haven't registered yet and want to come. So it's a 12-week course, but at any time during that 12 weeks, if you wanted to come in and check a class out, just come register with us and come on in. You'll get the newsletter that'll tell you exactly where it's going to be next and who's going to be your instructor next. And just like this is the second week flyer here for this. Again, Culture House at 11 o'clock tomorrow, 3014 North 24th Street in Omaha. If you don't know where the Culture House is, what's wrong with you?
Man, what's wrong with you?
You got to know. We would love to see you there. Can't wait. Very much appreciated. Also, I want to mention our friend Lock Legacy's grand opening is happening at 1001 Farnham Street in Omaha. This is a friend of ours, Isa, that is opening up her shop. She's been a lock legend for a long time. So this is a new shop that she's opening up called Lock Legacies. It's going to be a lot of natural hair care things going on in this building. So shout out to Black Business on this. This is at Sunday. So on Sunday at 3 p.m. from 3 to 6, Locks Legacy's grand opening, 1001 Farnham Street in Omaha. Definitely check her out. If you get a chance, again, this will be up in Friends of First Sky Omaha for you to check out the details on if you need to. And that'll be something else. Also, Benson Theater, 6 Guns Running. Get your tickets. They're going fast. our own Bofield Berry, who is the playwright that did a lot in all these places that we were talking about today when JaKeen came on. You know what I'm saying? Playhouse. I'm thinking a Blue Barn Theater. She's done some stuff all over, even out in New York, Broadway stuff. Like this is she's working on some stuff now that I can't even really talk too much about. But this is her iteration of what she was calling Buffalo Women before. It's now called Six Guns Running, and it's a black cowgirl musical in concert. It's happening the 18th, the 19th, or the 20th at the Benson Theater, and the 20th is going to be a brunch. And it's gonna be a soul food brunch. I'm gonna just say it like that. It's gonna be the bomb. Really, it's gonna be something else. So shout out to her for putting this on. Six Guns Running. Get your tickets at bensontheater.org. Definitely got to check it out. Also, just want to mention at Benson Theater night before last, Amber and Lacey were in the house. Amber Ruffin from the Amber Ruffin shows come in. They came in to talk about what their next project is. Amber Ruffin is reviving The Wiz to be on Broadway. This was what this was all about. This announcement that she came to the Benson Theater to talk about as well. So her and Lacey, her sister Lacey, are behind doing some fundraising for this in order to get this on Broadway. It's going to be amazing. I didn't even think about it, but The Wiz hasn't been on Broadway since the 70s. So it's this prime time to update this, revitalize this, put the Amber Ruffin comedy on it and everything else and get it out there. And this is going to happen very soon this year. This is going down. She's got some major stars. So major she can't even announce who the Dorothy's going to be. Gotta say that. So shout out to them for coming and letting us be a part of all that over at the Benson Theater that day for sure. Really appreciate it. If you don't know about this documentary,
whoop whoop,
the sound of the police is going down. Of course, man. Of course, we have a Omaha connection to this in a really big way. Sherman Wells, man. Man, there's so much to say about this, bro.
Man,
the Amir Locke story is heavily represented in this documentary. This is a ABC News Studios documentary shown on Hulu, August the 11th. Definitely check it out. It's going to be deep. It's going to really break down the story of Amir Locke. And if those of you don't know, our own Sherman Wells here in Omaha, Nebraska, that was his cousin that got killed by the police, no knock warrant, ran up in his house, killed him in his sleep. And now there's big changes happening out in Minneapolis because of the fact that they had to rethink this no knock warrant stuff because of this. And hopefully some change will come from it, but you got to hear this story. Definitely check it out. It's coming August 11th, Hulu.
It's today.
That is today, isn't it? Oh, man. Okay, cool.
It's out today. It's out today.
Out today. Gotta definitely check it out. So yeah, appreciate that. Also put this on your calendars as well. Of the legendary Angela Davis is going to be the keynote speaker for the Reproductive Justice Summit, October 27th. It's going to come up on us faster than we think. Shout out to IB Black Girl. Go to IB Black Girl and get your tickets there early so that you can be in audience to hear this legend speak. She's one of the best speakers and writers that that anybody can think of in any generation. But she's one of my favorite in particular. So I definitely want to make sure that we give her some time, make sure that she's here for real. Coming up this week, happy hour at Benson Theater is going down. The community networking happy hours from 3 to 7. It's really turning out to be a good event to kind of come and check in. We do it in the front room of the Benson Theater. And last week, Amber and Lacey came and they were there and we were hanging out. It was good to network. Good for like professional Black folks to come on through, and everybody's welcome. Come through and get your happy hour drink on from 3 to 7 or at the Benson Theater. We're doing this every Tuesday now, and it's already turning out to be a very special event just because of the fact that we can live alive with one another, stand around talking, having a cocktail, exchanging numbers, talk about projects. All the things that we do to build community. It's really hard to have a community if you don't have some time, face-to-face time building that community. So, yeah, come on down to Benson Theater, man. Kimra Snipes came last time. Zadika Poindexter was down. Michelle Trosclair was DJing. It was a funky good time. So come on down next Tuesday. Meet me down there. I'm going to make this a regular thing for me. It's easy for me to do that since I work there and I can kind of work as I chill with y'all. So come on down to the Benson Theater Community Network happy hour from 3 to 7 every Tuesday. Really hope to see you there. That'd be great. Jump into the chat real quick and see if there's anybody here it's got any more. Of course, she says, Miss Erica Fell says, very informative show as always. I love reading and hearing when friends fell in love with hip hop. Be good to yourselves. Drink water or Island Chill 402 slushies.
There you go.
Yeah, they're gonna be out there mixing it up together. I like that a lot. Buddy, anything that's on top of mind that we need to talk about as far as events are concerned?
No, that was pretty much it. I was going to mention again, Sounds of the Police coming out. Also reading Precious McKesson put out a post about the parade. It looks like North Omaha will be heavily represented. There's going to be a lot of food trucks, a lot of festivities. Even my man Josh Stupo is going to be emceeing the crowd down at Jean Leahy Mall. So yeah, let's represent, man. I know, Rick Fulton, I seen you making comments about the parade, and we definitely had our reservations as far as, what this is really about and who's putting it together. But, let's show up and show out, man. Let's support, let's bring good energy, bring good love, and, keep it there. So yeah, big shout out to everybody who's putting that on. And, yeah, man, y'all take care of each other. Take care of yourselves this weekend. Catch the same time, same place, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Big shout out to brother JaKeen Fox. Again, look out for his work on medium.com. Looks like he's sticking there. So, again, medium.com is where you can find past and looks like future work as well. And, so without further ado, go ahead, Paul B. Take it away.
Before we do that, I got one more I wanted to mention. Something I saw down the line. Y'all want to check this out, bro. Tower of Power. Coming to Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, it's going down.
Yeah. And don't forget to get your Funkadelic tickets as well.
Please get your Funkadelic tickets. Get your Funkadelic tickets. That's happening at the Steelhouse September 17th. It's coming up faster than you think. You think it's coming up. Most definitely get that going on. And of course, the very next day, Dave Chappelle will be at the CHI Health Center in Omaha as well. I believe this is getting close to being a sold out show too. So just to let you know, September 18th is going down. So yeah, lots happening in Omaha this year, and lots more to come. There's lots more to come. I'm hearing that down the way, there's going to be some more events coming up. As a matter of fact, Diana Ross is going to be coming to Omaha, Nebraska too. Yes, this is something that I forgot to mention as well. So there's a lot of huge shows happening. Get ready, save your money. Yeah, it's going down. We're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us again. We'll give thanks to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to be to speak before them, and shout out to you, the Chad Chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Thanks for everything. Sorry that we're running late here. Really appreciate everybody who's joined us today. Shout out to JaKeen Fox, and shout out to everybody who is a reoccurring member or sponsor of the channel. If you're so inclined, go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the donate button, and we really appreciate that. We're going to get out of here since we're running so late. Thanks for everybody joining us. We'll see you Monday. Take care of yourselves this weekend. Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious. This is protected by the red and